Hello guys and welcome to Painting Pandas. My name's Christian and today we're going to be taking a look at a World War I German soldier. Now I must say that this guy has seen quite a bit of the world. He moved from the UK with me and my family to Australia and then has stayed in my parents' loft for quite some time before moving with me all around Western Australia until my wife and I settled. So he is overdue for a lick of paint and we're going to be giving him a really good go in just a moment. But before we do all of that, please don't forget to hit that like button and give this channel a subscription. Alright, enough of all of that. Let's get straight into this video. Now, as I said, this particular model is from Revell and it's part of their World War I German set. Now, this set is iconic. This model that we're going to see today is over 20 years old and I absolutely love the fact I'm able to get it on the channel. So, to start off with, I'm going to give my model a prime of Tamiya Surface Primer Light Grey, and then I'm going to use AK German Grey for the German uniform for this World War I infantryman. Then once that uniform's done, I'm going to paint the fabric around his assault backpack in German Field Grey World War II. And then I'm going to paint his puttees in the same colour as well. Now for his rifle pouches and belt, I'm going to use German Camo Medium Brown. That will also be used for the straps on his assault backpack too. So just the belt and the rifle pouches and those straps. Now for the gas mask, that's a bit hard to see in this shot, I'm using US Olive Drab. So just any sort of green colour, you could use US Dark Green too, but I think Olive Drab works well. For his canteen, I'm going to be using German Camo Beige World War II. It's a very light colour, and that's what I've seen in the reference photos. I'm no World War I historian, I know absolutely nothing about this period, unfortunately, so I'm just going off what I found on Google. So if any of these paints are incorrect, do let me know. Now the mess tin that's in between the assault backpack, I'm going to be painting that in black, as well as his boots. Now don't worry, I'm going to dirty them up in a little while. But we probably won't see that in this video. It's during the basing process. So for any wooden items, I'm going to be using Flat Earth. You could also paint his hairline in Flat Earth if you can see it, which you can't in this particular model. Then for any metal areas, I'm going to be using German Grey, and as you can see, the rifle's made up of a few different parts. So just make sure you're capturing all of those. Now, Null Oil and Lafmir Medium, or technical medium is another way of calling it, at a 1:1 ratio is what I'm going to be using to wash this figure. And that ratio of 1 part thinners to 1 part Null Oil or black wash is really, really important. Now, German Grey and Grey Blue at a 1:1 ratio from AK Interactive is going to be our layer color, and this is our highlight as well, if you will, but it's not a highlight as such. We're just going back over all the areas that aren't in the recesses, and that's just going to make this uniform pop. I'm not going to make it too difficult or reinvent the wheel and do multiple different layers and highlights, just because these are toy soldiers. We want to get them on the table really quickly, and I think this guy painted up in under an hour, so you could paint quite a lot of these pretty quickly and have a really good quality model. I'm also watering down the paint and just going over his helmet as well. With that done, I'm now going to go over any of those German Camo Medium Brown parts with German Camo Medium Brown and Orange Brown at a 1:1 ratio. And that's going to give me a nice, worn, orangey leather look to those ammo pouches and his belt. Now the brush I'm using is a Rosemary & Co. Kolinsky Sabre size 0 brush. Highly recommended if you're in the market for a new brush. But any sort of Kolinsky brush would serve you really well. The tip is going to last a long time. It's going to be very fine indeed. Now for the assault backpack and puttees, I'm going to be using German Field Grey and Grey Green at a 1:1 ratio. There's lots of little grooves and such, so yeah, it's relatively easy to paint. Just make sure you're keeping the paint in the recesses. I'm also using the same colour to paint or lay out the bread bag. So we've moved on to the puttees, but just before then I was painting the bread bag as well. So you've got 3 different items are being painted in this colour. Then for the bayonet and for the wooden parts, I'm using flat earth and orange brown at a 1:1 ratio, and I'm literally just scratching in little lines on the wooden area. This is going to give you some sort of like simulated wood grains, and it's going to really make the figure look great. I get a lot of compliments with the wood, so yeah, it's highly recommended. And then to finish off the wood, I'm using orange brown, and I'm repeating the process but just not scratching on as much. So literally just little lines here and there. This is where it's really important you have a nice brush with a nice fine point, and that way you'd be able to really make the most of that really good brush and make very few mistakes, because you've not really got too much paint on the end of that tip. Now I'm going over that water bottle with German camo beige World War II, and that's all I'm doing, just leaving the original colour in the recesses there, and then the rest of it's getting painted. So it's really simple, really straightforward colour for that water bottle. Now for the medal, I'm going to be using black grey and basalt grey at a 1:1 ratio, again Vallejo, and there's some decent details in this particular German rifle. It's not the best. Revell, when compared to the esci figures I've painted, are probably just a little bit below them on the ranking sort of table, but you can make out the detail well enough. Now basalt grey is going to be my final highlight, and this is where I really do focus on making it a highlight. So I'm literally just putting in a little line on like each part of the iron sight, a little line on the muzzle, and a little line on the bayonet and such. It's a technique that you will master, to just give yourself some time. It's normally the hardest part with painting is finding the right colour, so hopefully this video is going to help on that front. Now for that gas mask canister, I'm using US olive drab and German camo beige at a 1:1 ratio, and there's not really too much you can really paint here. There's just a few little grooves and such that you can highlight. Now for that mess tin that was painted black, I'm just going to go over it with black grey now, just adding a little line on each compartment of that mess tin and the little strap, and then just leaving it at that. So for the flesh, I moved back to my AK paints, and I'm going to be using light flesh for that. You can use Vallejo paints as well for your sort of Caucasian flesh tones, but I really do like my AK paints for that. Now for the skin, I'm going to be using flesh wash to wash it, as the name would suggest, and that's just going to go in all the grooves and such, and make the eye sockets and around the nose a little bit darker, so we can come along and hit it with our base colour and fix it up. Now whilst that wash is drying, I'm going to get flat red, and I'm just going to put a little line down this guy's tunic, right down the middle there, as per the photos I've seen online. And then paint other little details in red, depending on what reference picture you're using. Now with that flesh wash dried, I'm going to come along and give the face a go. So I'm going to paint the cheeks, the nose, the ears, each individual finger, whatever part of the top of the hand is exposed. This particular step isn't too bad. If you paint a bit too much, that's fine. Just don't go in the grooves, because now we're going to hit it with light flesh and highlight flesh at that 1:1 ratio, and this is where we really just focus on putting a little tiny line on each cheek, a little tiny line running down the middle of the nose, a little tiny dot on each ear, a little tiny line on each finger, and just maybe just a little tiny line on the middle of the hand there, and the rest of it can just be left in that original base colour. And then to finish off with the little buttons on the back of this guy's tunic, I'm painting them in Iraqi sand, just to make them stand out a little bit nicer. Yeah, relatively straightforward and easy to do. And then there we have it. So our finished World War I German soldier. I really enjoyed this. I scratched my head, I must admit, for some time trying to figure out what would be the right paints and what's the right equipment and such. I had to use a few different Google images, but I did get there in the end. So I'd be keen to know from some of you that probably know a little bit more about World War I if I've got the right sort of colours, or if I've gone off. Is the uniform the right shade of grey? I know it's not your sort of German World War II field grey or green. It's a little bit lighter. So yeah, I'd be really interested to know what you guys make of it all. But I did have a lot of fun with this, and this won't be the first World War I figure. I'll be looking at some French very soon. As always, I've got to thank my YouTube channel members and Patreons for the continued support that you guys show the channel. It really does mean so much to me. So if you are considering joining the channel or you're completely unaware that I've got this program, please do take a minute to check it out. You can join for as little as $1 a month and you can get access to some cool perks and such, and early videos, and I think we've got quite a few for you to view if you want to. Now, as always, those Panzer races also need a mention, so thank you so much to Patrick, Oscar, James, Panzer Jim, Colin, Lack of Foresight Gaming, Mike, Mikey, Eric, Rothgar and Jonathan. You guys are all awesome. Thank you for being the top tier on that membership program. It really does mean the world to me. So thanks guys, and thank you all for watching this. Do let me know in the comment section what World War I or World War II or any sort of historical period 172 scale figure you would like to see next. And until then, I will catch you at the next one.